I think it'll tell. Up.
It's
Okay.
live.
We're live.
We're live. Great.
I feel
Ladies and
alive.
gentlemen, should I do? I'll do an introduction. No.
Okay.
Oh, are you recording on your end?
Oh, aren't we all recording on our ends?
Yes.
Well, I'm not.
Well, I'm recording on my desktop. Rarely do I record on an end, so.
Good. I'm gonna just do a quick announcement as to what we're doing. I guess I should be recording also. I'll go ahead and get that going. Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going, everybody? I'm so glad to be here among the people, stepping down from my ivory tower to talk to everyone, going back to my roots. If you've joined us today, what I'm doing here today is I'm joined in by my good friend Garrett Vandenberg. Is it okay if I give your last name? Oh man, I just doxed you.
My anonymity is gone.
And Ryan, the entrepreneur, which you can check out his YouTube channel. I'm sure that he'll share it in the links. But what we're doing here today, if you haven't seen us do this before, every time the show Adventures in Odyssey comes out with a new album, which now they're only 6 episodes long, we gather together on my channel to go back to what
6 hours about it.
Yeah, and talk for about 6 hours, an hour
Imagine
a piece
how long
for these.
it would be if we still had 12-episode albums.
It'd be way too long. And we talk about the new album and what we think about it. And I figure this is appropriate. I'm always trying to justify whether what I do on my channel is appropriate or not. Many would say most things I do on my channel is highly inappropriate. But
are highly inappropriate.
I think it's appropriate for my channel because it is Christian media, and we're talking about, and that's what I do on my channel.
That's what it's all about.
That's what the channel's all about.
That's what the Hokey Pokey's all about too.
It's all about being Christian.
Turning yourself around.
It's all about being Christian. That's all I care about. Is
Repentance,
making my media Christian.
Do you realize how much the gospel has in common with the Hokey Pokey?
No,
because
it's about turning your life around.
Oh.
It's crazy. See, I never realized that was a Christian song.
You know what I never realized? That because I was like, why is there HOA in my tags on this thing? And it's because it's Hangouts on Air.
What?
It's like homeowners association. Why would I tag that? Anyway, well, just to not keep people waiting. I mean, we do have 44 viewers already.
What?
Let's go ahead and
jump. Have heard of McAllister Park? They're quoting. I'm at my wit's end.
Is there a way to can I just share I want to share the picture of. There's no way to do it. Nothing can be done. All right. Well, I just wanted to share the image of the album, but the name of the album.
Screen share.
That's true.
Yeah, here I can do
it. Don't.
Okay.
We don't want to see what's on your screen, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa! I don't want my desktop. I don't think so. I have too many tabs open.
Boom.
There it is. Nice. All right, there it is. It is called Let's.
Is the stream set so it's always going to be your face that's shown? None of us get to have any spotlight time.
No. I think it cuts over to you guys when you guys talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
I mean, it's doing that for me.
Okay.
Test.
Okay, that's probably good.
Yeah, it does it for me. You just have to unclick the thumbnail of you.
We good.
Or whoever is going.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Cool. Well, everyone, let's just jump right into it then.
Okay. Well, is everybody recording? Y'all recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
You recording, Kevin?
Yeah, it's cutting back and forth. Okay. I forgot that that's what I was in the middle of doing.
Yeah. So let's do that.
Okay. Pro Tools.
Recording is important.
Oh man.
It doesn't work. You're being very unprofessional right now, Kevin.
I know. I don't have my iLock.
Oh, that is such a hassle.
Well, you know what? I'll just open up Adobe Audition.
Okay. I hope you get the part.
Yep. Adobe Audition. Here we go. All right. This is quality live broadcast. You guys tell everybody where you were the first time you heard. Tell them what Adventures in Odyssey is.
Adventures in Odyssey. Do you want to, right? I can do it. It's whatever.
Sure. I'll do it. So Adventures in Odyssey is the savior of souls of children everywhere. It is the audio drama that saved us all in our darkest times,
One guy,
giving us a
Mr.
friend,
Withers, is prophet.
giving us something to go to day after day, night after night. It's an audio drama where it's just a fun slice of life with really great characters
Not
that
always
have
slice of life,
adventures
though.
with each other in a small town.
What's the name of that small town?
It's called Odyssey.
Oh,
And contrary to popular belief, that is not where Homer Simpson lives.
No,
right.
no, and it's not Greek either.
No, it's in Ohio.
I'm sure it has its roots in
probably.
Greece. Greasy roots.
I think the movie Grease was shot in Odyssey, actually.
Oh yeah, bit of Odyssey trivia there.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay. All right. It's recording on my end.
Okay,
So
great.
Oh, I
got
thought we
that.
were recording there.
thank you for doing that. Garrett, I know you're a pro, so you'll be able to line this up perfectly.
Oh,
all right.
I'll do
Well,
my
let's
best.
just go ahead and jump right in. Garrett, go ahead and what's that first episode?
Well, I'm just gonna do a quick little because I'm gonna intro it on the thing, and then I'm gonna kind of pretend that this is the beginning of our conversation.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is a live recording of a real podcast here, everybody.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The first thing you'll have to do is clap. No.
Okay. All right, Garrett, you can go ahead and do that. I'll allow it.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. All right, well, I am here today with Kevin McCreary. Say hi, Kevin.
Hi, everybody.
And say hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
I was hoping you'd do that. Yeah, so we got Ryan Matlock, Kevin McCreary. You know these guys. We've been here
Yeah.
before. We're doing what we always do. We're reviewing the latest Adventures in Odyssey, volume 62. Let's put on a show. So let's put on a show, guys.
Okay, that's
We'll
why
do
I'm
a
doing
much
this
better job than
show
Odyssey
voice.
did. Ha!
Oh, is that?
Oh
it sounds-
dear! Wow.
Sounds like Ryan did
little-
not like this album.
A little preview into
Well,
Ryan's
first tip off.
thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we're gonna kind of go around in a circle, each share our thoughts, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then give a little bit of a rating of 1 out of 10. Anyway, our first episode we're gonna be talking about today is Connie the Counselor.
Great. Yes. Okay. Now I remember.
Anybody remember what this one is about?
Yes.
Yeah. You go ahead, Ryan. Tell him just like the hokey pokey
Just tell him.
what
Sure.
it's all about.
Sure. So Jules is in town, and so she's staying with Connie. And meanwhile, Connie is trying to test out her psychology skills for her class, and she's trying to counsel Eugene.
Always
And
Nikki's the
she
psycho.
obviously sort of starts to do a bad job, and Eugene goes crazy trying to try out her advice and doing a very bad job with Buck. And then Buck and Jules, they go out and they do crazy things in the town and get in trouble. And then Connie realizes that she's a great counselor. Even if she's terrible at counseling Eugene, she's great at counseling Jules on purpose. If by accident.
Yeah. So it's like they're both having a little bit of a difficulty communicating with their the teenagers that are in their care.
Those darn teenagers.
Teenagers are always a problem. What I really liked, and I'll jump in first if you guys don't mind. I got some thoughts. Want to
Go.
share. So one thing I really liked about this, and I even was talking to Nathan a little bit about this last night, about in the past, what I loved about Connie and Eugene was their constant bickering, which I guess we're not supposed to love that because they should be less sinful and they should treat each other well. But that's not really interesting. It's much more interesting to watch people bicker, especially if that dynamic is funny. And in the past few years, they've kind of started to mature, which I guess is good, but kind of boring story wise. Now we've got reasons for them to bicker again because they're both kind of parents and they're now they don't have to so much bicker over each other's flaws. They get to bicker over who's being a worse parent.
You're doing a terrible job with Buck. No, you're doing a terrible job with Jules. Yeah, I did enjoy that that bit of fighting. It was interesting because it felt like I had gone back to the old days where they were fighting, but in a new way.
New way. You know, here's a little snark about this episode real quick. Can I do that?
Sorry.
You guys are doing it. It's weird that Focus on the Family is a organization that was started by a psychologist, yet they seem to be very negative towards psychology.
Well, I figured
anytime
that
there's
if you study a specific area, you'll either love it or hate it, right? Like you'll either be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, or I know all the flaws in this now.
Exactly. It's true.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah, it's funny because there was that time whenever Penny is inside of that is in that class where we meet Penny, and it's all like, oh, it's mystical and weird. So like they make like when she's reading her like the whole color thing, when she's reading her psychology book, it makes it seem like this is the wackiest, most like crock doctor book ever written.
Yeah.
About psychology. Like, why is she taking this class if it's so like, I mean, I know part of it is just that she's misunderstanding some of it, or she's going just strictly by the book and doesn't know what she's talking about. But like, then she ends up it's just funny to me.
I think it's funny too, Kevin, but if this is any sign of how quickly we're going to continue to get off on tangents, this is exciting.
We will be here for 6 hours.
Good. Okay. So
as for
I just wanted to
that episode. Sorry, what were you saying, Kevin? I'll let you finish.
Oh, no. I just wanted to jump in and say that I thought that was a weird I just think it's weird. That's all I'm here to say.
It's just weird.
That's all I want to say.
Odyssey guys, we just want to let you know that you're weird.
Yeah. No, I just think it's weird that they would be so negative about psychology whenever Dr. James Dobson was a psychologist.
Well, you know, he doesn't
and
work
still
there.
is.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's it. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog barking.
No, it's probably much quieter than the traffic right outside my house, so you're good.
Cool. Okay. Well, Garrett, you can lead the discussion then. I'll allow it.
Thank you. I'll take the talking stick. So yeah, I really loved Connie and Eugene's dynamic. That was hilarious. Another funny thing was anyway, we talked a little bit about Eugene struggling to relate to Buck when he quotes Buck and like does the whole Southern accent. Did you guys remember that? That was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense that Will Ryan would have a pretty decent Southern accent because he does his whole, Will Ryan, the cowboy troop or whatever. But no, that was great.
And I bet we'll get into that later.
Unfortunately. Not anything against you, Will. It was just we'll talk about it. We'll talk. But so that was funny. Another funny moment was when they were listing off. Odyssey's done all kinds of different parody brands and stuff of different because they're not. I guess they're not allowed to use real popular culture names like Facebook and stuff. Maybe they just don't want to promote them. But
yeah.
When Jules said she had a sweater from Banana Monarchy, I was.
I didn't know what is that parodying?
Banana Republic.
Yeah.
Oh.
It would be funny.
That is funny.
Like banana communism. Right? I guess that's kind of what monarchy is.
Well, no, it's not. That's literally the opposite.
Okay.
All right.
Fine. Fine. Sorry. Let's not get into politics.
I think they went with monarchy because it's the most like neutral one that they could say. If they just said communism, then people would have gotten upset. But if they say monarchy, nobody's like
banana Nazi.
Nobody's like super like anti-monarchy. Nobody wants to live in a strict monarchy, and there's not really any anymore anyway. So I think that's the safest one to go with while still doing the parody.
I was thinking monarchy and communism, not because I can like conceptually they're opposites, but there are monarchies that where
I get what
one
you're
person in
saying.
power legislates communism.
No, believe me, I agree with you there. I just
Okay.
was trying to avoid getting into it.
Anyway, banana monarchy, that was pretty funny too. Yeah, so I think
I mean, I thought the response with so like there's whenever she gives him the advice, gives Eugene the advice about like how to relate to his adopted son, and he goes and tries it. I thought that was I thought it was funny whenever he's like, "Hey, what color? What are your feelings in a color?" And then give me that in a animal. Like that stuff's funny, but like why would Eugene if
Yeah.
he's
he's not dumb
adopting
enough to do.
why would he go this long without talking about the fact that he also was a foster kid? So he has a foster kid and he's like, I don't know how to relate to him. Oh, do this stuff. And then whenever he realizes what he's supposed to do, turns out I just tell him that I was literally in the same position he's in and somehow we relate. Like that is
And
that
would've
really
been
that big of a revelation?
But I think it's a pretty. It makes sense given Eugene's character and how much he struggles to relate to people that he wouldn't think about how do I relate to somebody. Oh, I talk about something that we relate on. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense, but somehow
Like he always
But even-
goes
it doesn't connect in
towards
his
like
mind.
more intellectual things. It's like, oh, there's a science to this rather
But
than
even Batman knew to like talk to Robin about, you know, how also his parents died by being killed by a psychopath, you know?
well, to be fair,
And
Batman's
Batman doesn't
not like
connect very
a
well.
scientist smarty pants.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yes, he is. That's almost exclusively what Batman is, and also punching people.
which could
Well,
be
okay,
changed.
so he's not a geek. I'll put it that way.
He's not a
He's not a
human.
geek smarty pants scientist.
He's got smart other clothes as well, other than just pants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry. I guess I probably interrupted a little bit. That was what I remembered what I thought of when I was listening to it, and I had to get it out there.
No, it's good. It's good.
Good.
We
Yeah,
need
don't
opinions.
apologize for interrupting. We all do it.
So
And we're all
so
going to do it.
who liked this one?
I think it's one of my favorite episodes on the album, but I wouldn't say that I loved it.
Yeah, I echo that. It was interesting. At first it seemed like it was going really fast, you know? Like
Mhm.
it started out and I'm trying to remember if it started out with the Jules portion or the counseling.
so.
But whichever it was like, okay, we've got two subplots and we got to set them up right now. And so it was like one moment she's with Jules and the next moment she's at Wit's End asking Eugene to help with counseling. And it just like, it launched right in, totally took me off guard. And then also the color thing was kind of weird. Not only because like Eugene should have known better to like relate by telling about how he was a foster child, but also just because Eugene seems too smart to like try that and not realize the words that are coming out of his mouth are ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind
But
of
it was still
agree.
fun.
I kind of agree that and we talked about this a little bit already, but I'm not sure how. Like, I'm still trying to make sense in my head whether or not Eugene could fall into this situation. Because yeah, obviously it's written in. Sorry, one second. My mic is acting funny. Obviously, it is written.
It's hilarious.
Obviously, it's written in just to be funny. But
No, I mean your mic isn't funny.
what?
Continue. Sorry, you said your mic was acting funny, and I was like, "Yeah, it's hilarious."
Oh, good. Okay, good one.
Thanks.
But yeah, obviously that scene is worked into the script just to be a funny thing and to get some laughs. But I think it potentially it could be that Eugene feels so insecure about his ability to relate to people that he would be willing to try anything. And it makes sense that he would be that desperate, especially considering how much he does care for Buck, but he's just clueless about how to be a father.
Yeah, and it he it shows how much he was overthinking it, which is something that that Eugene has a tendency to do, and he does trust Connie, even though he's like, you seem like you don't know what you're talking about. But that is one of his only friends, so for him to like say, well, I guess I should try it because I can't. Yeah, and he's overthought it. So, yeah, I mean, and it's also for kids. It is a kids show, and I am 30 years old now, which is why I don't do a podcast very often about this kids show. But you know, I
Gotta do it for the
think that it
kids.
was-
As
It-
C.S. Lewis says, though, just because you're writing something for kids, it doesn't give you an excuse to write it poorly. And he doesn't say
Mhm.
it exactly with those words, but that I'm going to say that's a C.S. Lewis quote. I'm pretty sure I quoted
There's
it last time.
yeah,
too.
it's an exact C.S. Lewis quote. It
Exactly.
gives it more credibility if it's a quote from somebody who's famous.
Didn't Abraham Lincoln say that?
Yeah. And that
Anyway,
other quote about
this
the internet.
episode has more going for it than I think a lot of the other episodes because the characters are actually interesting, but I wouldn't say that this is the best episode featuring any of these characters. Though I am interested to see where these arcs continue to go with Jules and Buck and Eugene and Connie and all that.
Mhm.
So I would give it a 7 dysfunctional relationship.
Colors?
And
Okay.
I'll give it 6.5 colorful counseling books out of 10.
were they colorful?
Well, they talk about
psychology is always colorful, Garrett.
True. I appreciated Eugene's comment on all of the useless analogies too.
Yeah, it was funny, and it was a return to form for you know, like the driving episodes and other episodes where Connie is trying to be serious, but then she's not actually good at giving advice. She's always like, here she's trying to become a counselor, and she's like the worst at giving advice.
Right. But she has
And she has a whole show.
in the fact that even though he's an incredible genius, he lacks the ability to understand social engagement, and that's the one thing Connie understands a little bit more about, but is still very bad at explaining it.
Yeah. Yep. So I would give it. I think it was kind of a not a return to form because I think they've been doing this, but it was a traditional Odyssey episode. It was fun, had some funny parts, and it was heartwarming. And and I think in the end, I'll give it probably a 6 out of 10. Animals that relate to colors that relate to emotions.
In the end, you probably will. But I mean, what?
Yeah.
Who knows what you're going to give it right now?
But as Linkin Park would say, in the end, it doesn't even matter. So, you know,
as Rick Sanchez would probably also say.
Yeah, probably. We're hitting the whole spectrum here.
I wish I knew more quotes and songs so I could follow up with a witty retort.
Yeah, that would have been great.
you
You
are
really let
a
us all
witty
down
retort.
here, Ryan.
Yep, it's the end of the world as we know it.
Nice. You
There
did
you
it.
go.
All right. Well, then what's the next episode?
It's no friend like an old friend.
Noah, friend.
No
It's
friend
about
like an
Noah?
old friend.
It's about a guy with a time machine goes back in time and meets Noah. And he convinces him that there won't be a flood.
Okay, so this
But
is
then if everyone dies, how does he be alive to go back in the time machine?
He disappears.
But then if he
So-
disappears, then he wouldn't have gone back in time.
so
It's a paradox.
what this episode is actually about is about an old friend of Mr. Whitaker's, whom we don't realize is an old friend until the very end.
I
And-
did.
You did? Oh, fine. Okay, I didn't catch it until a little bit later on. And he's like, well, maybe you don't. Well, spoiler alert. So if you haven't listened to this episode, don't listen to us talking about it because
Maybe you should have put the spoiler alert at the beginning of this
I'm
episode.
gonna say spoiler alert and say it, and then just move it. I'm gonna edit that spoiler alert back a little bit.
Good. Spoiler alert for this entire all of Odyssey.
If you want to hear, if you don't want the whole show to be ruined, don't listen to this segment particularly. You're gonna ruin every plot. Connie and Mitch
All right.
don't get married. Mr.
No.
Whitaker dies 3 times.
Too
I
soon,
was
man.
I was starting from the first album and going all the way through.
Like, wait,
Starting
Mitch,
to
who's
hope again.
All right.
so- yes. Okay, yeah.
Let's do it because this is my favorite on this entire album.
Ooh.
My favorite episode, if you can believe it.
Interesting.
All right. Well, why don't we talk about that, Kevin? Why is this episode your favorite?
All right. So what happens? Well, you didn't give the full synopsis.
Okay, the whole synopsis is Jewel is an irresponsible teenager and forgets things and is dumb, and so Connie has to pick up after her messes and has to take a bus trip from Chicago to Odyssey, which is apparently an all-day trip, and that all-day trip is actually just her talking to this guy who turns out who's going to be the new pastor in Odyssey, and he tells her a 20-minute story that somehow takes 9 hours. Somehow when the story
there was an in bus meal.
It wasn't the director's edition, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They trimmed it up.
There's probably a whole lot more to this episode and this story, but what we hear is a 20-minute story that turns out to be a story about the childhood of Mr. Whitaker, and we hear some young Jack Allen and also this new character Willie, which is
Willie.
It turns out at the end of the episode, he is Mr. Whitaker's brother-in-law. Is that right?
Wait,
uncle?
Mr.
No.
Whitaker's?
I don't know about all that.
Isn't his
No, they were just like childhood enemy friends.
I'm pretty sure there's
Frenemies.
some family relationship too. We'll have to check. You know what? I'm going to say it's his brother-in-law, but I'm going to edit in the actual line where he says what he is, and then I can just replace what I said with what the actual thing is.
All right. So, what I really liked about this episode was, I don't know if this was even intentional, but it was a real good libertarian message. No, I liked that it had a really solid, like, sometimes the rules are dumb.
It's true.
I know that wasn't the like full message because really the message was sometimes we can like, I don't know. It's weird that Adventures in Odyssey did an episode that's like, hey, stop being a tattletale. Like, it's not always about being by the book. Sometimes we just have to love people. Yeah. And that's something that I think a lot of like Christian media is afraid to teach, because if they taught that, then people might take it the wrong way. They might think, oh, well, that's it does need, someone may sin. We may look like we're condoning sin if we were to have that type of message. And I think that this instills the principle that like sometimes we can let
the answer.
I think it instills the principle that sometimes we can let go of trying to tell people what to do or trying to tattle on people and just love people. But not in a progressive, like, just love. It's all about love. Nothing like, it's not a hippie episode by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's a great message.
Anything wrong with hippies or
no,
hippies.
I mean, that's the worst thing you can be, but so fortunately they didn't do that. But what I thought was interesting was that it did have kind of that the main message of it is, hey, sometimes just there's time, like, let people figure things out. And also, like, because those kids were breaking the rules that were not appropriate rules, like the guy in charge was like, actually, now that I realize that what's going on, maybe this was a bad rule to begin with. Like, they didn't punish that kid for breaking the rules.
Right. Yeah, true. So who rules? Who
I thought that it was an interesting thing to think about, and not something that's typically done in Christian media, that they would make a story where the kids break the rules and the ones breaking the rules.
Yeah, it's not just a one-dimensional, like, here's the rules. I mean, I feel like a lot of Christian media is just like, you just gotta obey your parents. It's just very simple, one-dimensional messages. But yeah, this is a little bit more of a mature plot in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and I know that the story was sometimes we need to love people and not just preach at them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a deeper story there, I think, of sometimes the rules aren't the right ones. Like we have to we need to base our life on principles, not on like arbitrary rules. You know, not like, oh, we shouldn't obey the Bible, but like there's a reason that some if we base our life on principles, then we'll know that if there's an unjust rule, then we'll be able to be aware of that whenever it raises its ugly head.
Yeah. Well, and obviously the next logical step in stories like this is we need to have an episode where we realize that even sometimes your principles that you felt like were flawless are wrong, and you need to be open to revising your principles.
Yeah. Because it's not like they're just like, hey, disobey the rules. But they gave a reason as to he knew he was doing the right thing. The one thing that I
follow your heart.
There was one part that I didn't like in the no, that's not what I'm saying. There's one thing that while it was happening, I didn't really like, but I do think that I do think that it works fine. But like, I don't think that he needed to be helping that kid's family for him to still be doing the right thing. Like he said, I was doing it for the money, and that was a funny line, but like, because he was why else would you enter a contest? Like, right. And if he was wanting to enter the contest and wanting to win the money, and he wasn't breaking the rules of the contest to do it, he just wasn't going through the appropriate channels that this kid had like forced the school to do. I don't think that it's wrong for him to want to do something to make the money for himself.
And there's anarchist Kevin for all y'all.
I think there is something to be said for, like, as you were saying, like, it's not just rules, it's also principles. There's something to be said for having the principle that you're going to obey the rules, even if you might think they're not the best rules.
Well, and the kid didn't even obey the principle. But the principle let him off the hook anyway.
Right. No, it's an interesting conversation, but would he have been wrong to, and there's a later episode where like the message is we need to give to other people if we have more money than we need. And like, should it be okay to build a new barn? Well, if that new barn is like going towards your business, I don't think proper investment is a sin.
Right. Well, as long as
in and of itself.
If you're going to build a barn, you just need to supplement every barn you build also with a few roads.
Like the reason why like I just don't think that I don't think you should feel bad about like entering a contest in order to win a prize. You don't have to like have some sort of higher noble reason beyond that.
Obviously, the conflict was that he wasn't following the school's rules and he was using their supplies.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So I agree with you, Kevin. I think that the message of this one was definitely good, and it was some good brain food. And as far as even just the way the story played out, because I mean, sometimes there's a good concept for an episode, but the acting isn't great, or sometimes the script just doesn't end up pacing well. I enjoyed the way that this story played out. It was an interesting listen, and surprisingly, I didn't mind the kid actors. Usually, I mean, not that they're amazing actors, but they weren't bad. They weren't terrible. They were listenable.
Yeah, definitely better than like. I do remember the acting was especially kind of cheesy in like album 1, for example.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm stuck in the basement of Wits End, like that person.
But these kid actors, I'm wondering if they, like, every time I hear new kid voices, I'm wondering, okay, are they just testing these out to see if they are going to use these actors for some future new characters they're planning on. So I'm wondering if, because obviously these are one-off characters, unless we're going to have some more child wit and
the adventures of young Mr. Whitaker.
I mean, we've had a lot of throwback episodes that have young Mr. Whitaker, but it's usually different actors and stuff.
The next, be cool if the next compilation album they release is like Ave and what were the Ave and Al?
Yeah,
the Adventures of Ave and Al.
Speaking of Ave and Al and Willie and this new pastor guy, he sounds like he's going to be an interesting character. I'm glad they're kind of not really replacing, but giving us a new character from Mr. Whitaker's past. Like obviously we've lost Tom, we've lost Jack, and Mr. Whitaker seemed pretty flat and pretty static for the past like 13 albums. He hasn't really been
Mr. Whitaker
so
has.
much, I felt like it has. I feel like he hasn't even been so much a character as he's been just sort of a backdrop for the show.
Like, like at the end of the episode, he's the guy that's like, oh, I know all your problems
Mr.
and
Whitaker's
what
become
you need to fix them.
indistinguishable
And maybe
from
I'll show up
Chris.
in the beginning of the episode to have small talk.
He's basically just the new Chris. He introduces the episode and then gives a lesson at the end.
I was thinking about
watching-
We already have an annoying announcer person. We already have Chris. We need more.
We
of
already
that.
have an
This is
annoying announcer
exactly what we
people.
need less of in the show.
Person who tells us what to think.
So I think the reason that I think it's likely that we'll see more of Wit returning to being a character and having some more of his past developed because Phil Lawler's back and he's the mastermind behind who Wit
And he
is.
wrote this episode.
Yeah, he wrote 4 out of the 6 episodes in this album, and
I was
he's writing
surprised actually. I was like listening. I was like, who wrote this? And surprised at the that he wrote it. I don't know why. I
wasn't very
swallowed the
surprised.
fly.
It really. Well, I mean, I knew going into it that it was Phil, but it seems like a very Phil episode in the sense that, for one thing, it jumps back and it tells a little bit more about Mr. Whitaker's past, which nobody else has the guts to do as new writers. Well, not everybody else is new, but like anyway. Phil actually likes to develop Mr. Whitaker, it feels like, but also there's like a bunch of references to philosophy and various other things that he seems to always include. Like, I mean, another big example of Phil including philosophy. I mean, even though there is some direct quotes to
Philosophy,
and in the next episode he references like Kant and Hume and stuff like that. But the new character that Phil invented, his name is Rene, as a reference to Rene Descartes.
Huh.
Pretty much, and her dog's name is I'm forgetting. It's one of Descartes' like one of those main Latin quotes or whatever of his little philosophy. I think cogito ergo sum. I think therefore I am, and her dog's name is Cog, as it's cogito.
Oh, okay.
So lots of philosophy references. You can always keep an eye out for those in Phil episodes. So I was like, oh yeah, this is totally Phil.
Huh. Well, I would give this like an 8 out of 10 philosophies.
Philosophy. You know, I'm gonna have to say it's probably an 8 for me too. I had written down a 7, but when I think about it, this is a better episode than the first one, which I gave 7. So I got to bump it up. Maybe a 7 point. I'll say 7.5. 7.5. Ancient or childhood friends of Mr. Whitaker.
And I will give it a 7.8215630001.
001.
Yeah, you got to mix it up. If you have too many zeros, it just gets monotonous. So you say 001.
So why such a specific? Do you have a process that leads you to these specific fractions, or is this just?
Well, so yeah, it's a very, very, very detailed fraction. It takes a lot of science as well as a lot of like very complicated things. I really like this episode just because partially I got to see a lot more into the life of Wit and Wit and Jack, because first off, like it's so cool because I think the only episode we've ever seen them really together as children is that Gold episode, right? It's the one where they're trying to like, what is it? Blackbeard's treasure or something?
Yeah, that one gave me nightmares.
Is that the Andy Griffith parody episode?
Yeah, with Otis, or is it Otis?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and Mr. Whitaker as a kid is like Opie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good
so
one.
we don't get to see a lot of them as kids together, and so it's interesting. Like we get in this album, we see a little bit into the life of Wit and, or actually no, that's actually one of the club episodes where isn't it like the journal of John Whitaker or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get in one of the club episodes, we're getting to see into the life of Jack and Wit as they grow up, but we also get to see it in this episode. And so that's something that I've really been enjoying.
I thought
at the same time, though, I knew that it was Wit and Jack the entire time. Just because whenever someone's like, "Oh, I won't give you the real names. I'll give you we'll call them these names." There's usually a reason.
I didn't pick up on it. I missed it. I totally
You're
missed
all
it. The
slowing
whole time.
down.
Yep.
But I thought it was really interesting to see Mr. Whitaker's like his values, but yet unrefined. So like he has this passion for like doing good and helping people, but he's
Yeah.
still like reckless and willing to break rules and stuff to do it.
But he's always well. I guess that he's a little bit like Jason.
Yeah, it's just a
Mhm.
less mature Mr. Whitaker, and Jason
Yeah.
will eventually become Mr. Whitaker.
Yep. He'll just become him,
What?
a cooler Mr. Whitaker.
Oh, please no.
I think they were trying to kind of do that. Not last time they replaced him, but the time before they kind of had Mr. Whitaker and
And Jack
a few
Allen.
other characters filling that. Yeah.
Yeah, it
filling
was
that
like
role.
Jack Allen's the smart one, and
Cool, reckless.
Jason is just he's the cool, inventive one. It's like Jack Allen can't do anything with the imagination station, so let's have his son here.
But
Yeah.
but then Jason doesn't know doesn't understand ethics.
Right.
Yeah, which I really like. That's why he's my favorite character. So
what would you give it, Ryan? What's your numbers? Or
I
did
told
say
you my
that?
number.
Okay, great.
yeah.
Just-
So
just-
I don't
next
remember
one?
my number, but I told you my
give
number.
the girls in the audience your number too. Wink, wink.
There aren't any girls who watch my show. Just kidding. There are 10
It's
of them.
555.
So, hey, look, Cecilia Bedelia, Inner Circle member, just commented and said she is late for the show, but I'd say she's right on
Oh.
time.
I should be.
Welcome to the show, People call you Cece. I'm gonna call you Cece.
Oh man, there's a lot of people in this chat. I hadn't
Yeah,
even
I'm
checked it until
keeping up
now.
with I'm keeping up with the
That's
the
hilarious that it
people.
is Cecilia Bedelia.
Oh hey, Mason's here.
Isn't that funny?
You guys have all read Amelia Bedelia books, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's why
yeah.
it's funny.
Best.
She
love
was always so confused.
She was. See, I really related to her. That's why I liked them.
Yep. So, all right, that we've gotten through 2 now. We should hurry it along because
only got
we're
3 more.
45 minutes in.
Okay, great. Okay.
Oh,
do you wanna
wow.
Introduce the next episode then, Kevin. It's Fathers and Sons. Do you remember which of that one that is?
Yep. Oh yes. Oh
Okay.
yes. So Fathers and Sons is Jason Whitaker now owns an antique shop, and a guy comes in. A guy comes in and is like, "Hey, I got this thing for my dad. It's a cylinder for a music box, but where's the music box?" And Mr. Jason Whitaker is like, "Here's the music box," but it's not his music box. It's just some other music box. And then there's a letter, and it's like, if you follow this clue, that it'll lead you to the greatest treasure of all. And to me, I'm sitting there thinking, like, why doesn't Jason just say? Jason should just say, "Sure, I'll help you with this mystery, but I also have Bibles. That's probably what it's going to be if you want to just get a Bible."
If the treasure of Lamont was any indication.
Right. This happens a lot here in Odyssey, and
I was listening to this with.
it's
with my
probably
little
going to be a Bible.
sister. I was listening to it with my little sister, and like every step of the journey, it was just like, okay, that's going to be a Bible. It's going to be it's Morse code. It's going to be Morse code. It's Morse code.
This is going to be it was a little bit predictable, but then it gets to the end, and again, spoiler alert, it is a Bible, but
It's
also
not.
it's not just a Bible. And I thought that was a fun little twist
It was
because
a
it
nice twist.
kind of alluded a good bit to Treasure of Lamont, because it starts off with a music
But
clue.
it's a little less disappointing though, because it actually is money too, and it's not just something.
Right.
Right.
So, and the
But
guy
can-
now here's what I wish would have happened. Can I say?
You can. Say
I mean, yeah, it was neat that it was like, oh, it's gonna. I wish that the kid had actually been his brother, and like, I know that would be more adult for Odyssey, but like, if it was the maid and
With
it
the
was his
spoon.
brother,
in the pool.
it was his half brother.
That would have been interesting. Yeah, definitely more adult.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Would that be more interesting?
I just think that by saying like he's basically your brother makes it less powerful because
like
I have
in writing, yes,
Right, but
in
in
law, yes, but that
motivation
like it's still not blood or anything.
Well, I think the point of it is that the father's trying to build it as if they're a family and they're not, and that's his struggle, and that's why he's because they're not brothers. Well, okay, I could see what you're saying, but like he's struggling because they're not brothers to get them to relate to each other, and so he's trying to be their father, and he didn't want to single either one of them out, so that's why he didn't tell them that one was his son. I don't know.
Can I
think
just
that's
say,
a rich enough history just to be. I mean, it's interesting.
yeah. Can I just say, so the outcome of this episode, unfortunately, I don't think it was original, because if you guys remember, do you remember the time in the internet where like everyone would post those poorly spelled like, long posts is like someone was trying to tell a story and it's like one time a boy, or one time spelled TIEM. One
like this
time
if
a
you
boy
cry
hugged
every
a
teen.
girl, and then they got into an argument and she ran out of the room, and then he was like, no, don't don't go, and then she tripped and fell, and then it turned out that she had written him a letter that said that she loved him, and he felt sad, like if you cry every time.
Right.
Well, so there's one where a dad gets his son for graduation, like a book or something, when the kid wanted a car, and then like years later the dad dies or something, and then the kid finds the book and it's got the keys to his car and a title in it. Like, this is something I read 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow, it's kind of like when I saw God's Not Dead and I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this in an email from my grandma before.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it
Yeah.
was Pablo
Well,
Picasso who said, "Good artists borrow, but great artists steal."
Well, yeah, I will say it has been disappointing growing up and realizing that most Odyssey episodes are either parodies or just rip-offs of other stories that have already been told. And now they're just ripping off stories they have already told. No, I think that is a tendency in Odyssey because there's so many stories that they tell that they kind of borrow a lot from other stories.
Right.
But no, you're right. You're right. Like, I feel like because I was expecting it to just be a Bible and like, oh, look, it's the greatest treasure of all, then it would have been I was expecting it to be
and it was just the Bible, and it's like, oh, what a twist.
right. That would have been disappointing that if it was just the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I cried in it.
Did you, Kevin?
It was heartwarming. I like father and son stories. I'm like, whenever a father either connects with his son or whatever. But man, that son was like, the real son was annoyingly jerky. He reminded me of whenever they shared that there was on a podcast one time, they shared like a thing where they had an actor originally to play like the kid in the wheelchair that one time, and then
Zach?
they had to change it out. Well, it was Zach is who they replaced it with because they had another kid, and the kid was just like angry, but like really just, I'm angry. There was no nuance to it, and that's a little bit like what this character was.
Like, intentionally angry rather than moody.
Yeah, he wasn't like, there wasn't depth to like, I'm emotionally scarred. Right. He was just like, I'm a madman, but not like a mad scientist.
I think that and that point is sort of, I have this theory. I have this theory about Phil's an
writing. Odyssey theory.
You don't have to believe me, but that's just a theory. Okay, sorry, you already did it. That's okay.
The joke's over. All right. Move on, Garrett.
But I have a theory about Phil's writing that he has some strength and he has some weaknesses. And I think one of those weaknesses is that he struggles sometimes with being a little too. I'm going to let that. Our garage door is right below my loft, so whenever somebody uses it, it makes a big noise. I don't know if you can hear that.
Right as you're criticizing Phil Lawler.
Gosh.
Who is
Trying
probably
to
gonna
get your
see
sound
this.
right seems like quite a lofty goal.
Ooh, entrepreneur over here.
I actually have my bow tie like right here.
Oh, great.
I took it off because it was hot.
Bow ties are cool. So I have this theory about Phil's writing that he has some strengths and he has some weaknesses, and I think one of those weaknesses is lack of subtlety. Occasionally, sometimes it's in the form of like overbearing exposition where characters are like just way too much explaining what they're doing physically in a scene. Sometimes it's like just trying to set up a character dynamic or a scene too verbally where people are just explaining, hey, I'm over here and you're over there and there's a conflict and let me explain the conflict and now we're gonna have the scene. I feel like that happens a little bit. And what you were just saying, I think that's kind of an example of it. It's like there's no subtlety to this guy's personality. It's just like, okay, well, for this story to work and the dynamics for these brothers to work, we really gotta explain that this brother is a jerk. So that's his character. That is all that he is. He's just a jerk.
Yeah. I feel like the reason why I said that thing about like I wish they were really brothers is I feel like that's how it was originally. It just feels like it was that and they changed it because why would they have him lie about who he was and then the guy come in and he's like, "Oh, actually, he's not my brother." Like there wasn't any it didn't add anything to the story. He could have just as easily been his brother but just like the son of the maid and not the, it could have been his half brother, but then that would imply an affair happened.
Exactly. We can't
You can't do that. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know why, but I just feel like it took me out of it. But I did enjoy the mystery.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed
that Phil does well is I think that he understands, and almost a lot of his a lot of his episodes kind of have a mystery vibe to them. Not a vibe, but that model.
And
he kind of
even though I thought that
in reverse, where he has an idea of where he wants to bring the characters, and it's just okay. So this guy has a past, this guy has a past, this guy has a past, and they are all revealed step by step as it makes sense into the story, and I like that.
That's true. Yeah, I was kind of, even though I was like, this is probably going to end up being a Bible at the end, I was on kind of the edge of my seat. Like, what's the next clue? I'm excited about the next clue. So I like that. And I thought that the kind of twist ending, even though Ryan said it has ruined it now because it was an internet meme. I still thought that it was a touching ending, even though I was like, well, even if it was a little on the nose. So I would give it a 6 again, a 6 out of 10.
I love being touched on my nose, so I'm gonna give
10 clues.
7 clues out of 10.
Okay,
I'm gonna give it a 5, if only just because. So I'm kind of comparing it, as I mentioned this earlier, to Treasure of Le Monde, and when I was listening to it, it seemed much more rushed. So like the thing with Treasure of Le Monde was it was great. It felt like an actual treasure hunt, kind of like in National Treasure. You've got the highs and the lows, where it's like, oh, now we're chasing after to the treasure, but then they get the clue and they've got to figure it out for a little bit, and you got your lows. And then in Treasure of Le Monde, you had that too, like where Robin is like laying awake at night trying to figure out the next clue. But this episode, it was like it was solved in an afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Right. It was a much smaller scope.
And so that just on top of the internet meme thing made it lower. But it was fun to see Jason in sort of his spy-ish mood, even though he wasn't spying on anything. Like he wasn't in any real danger, unless that danger is angry outbursts or something from the jerk brother. But other than that, it was interesting to see that. And aside from that, just one tiny thing: J Antiques,
Triple J
Antiques. That's what it was. Triple J Antiques was interesting. I didn't know how I felt about that. I still don't, actually.
Yeah, it does. It's not as classy as J&J.
Yeah, and it almost makes it feel like it's like, oh, Jack and Joanne, they're gone now. It's just another reminder. It's sad.
That's kind of sad too. I also think it's kind of funny that Jason and Jack were brought in to replace Whit when he left, and now Jack is gone, so Jason is being brought in to replace Jack.
Whoa, that's like a meta replacement.
Mind blow.
Wow.
And when
what's the next
Jason's
episode?
gone, then Whit'll replace Jason.
That would be interesting.
What's next?
Yeah, you're right. We should move on. Although,
Well, it's just, I mean,
The next one's my favorite out of the entire
I'm falling
album.
asleep here.
It's called "The Grass Is Always Greener."
Interesting. This is your favorite. This is my least favorite. So
What?
Well, it's not
So
my least
I've always
favorite, but-
enjoyed both the funny episodes where it's like someone gets it into their mind to do something crazy, but it has to be realistic. So
Yeah.
it's not like Penny's like, "Oh, I want to go off into the mountains and become a monk." That's not funny to me because it's not
funny when
realistic.
Eugene decided to do that, though.
But oh right, that was Eugene. I was talking about the time when she went into the blizzard or something.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But
Or
yeah,
when she became a wizard. That's what you're thinking. 'Cause
oh,
it
right.
rhymed.
That's right, Kevin.
That wasn't very
This is
real.
why I have you here to tell me
Always-
exactly what
Penny
actually
as a
happened in
character
Odyssey.
always
Elf.
kind of reminded me of a Liz from the Magic School Bus. I don't know why.
But yeah, so like because they're kids, first off, and second because like Olivia has a very specific motivation in this episode. Mainly that being that she wants what the other siblings have. And it's funny how it keeps changing throughout the episode, and it makes total sense because I was totally that kid, like that would see something my brother had. One example being like he had a Spider-Man action figure or something. And I remember trying to trade with him. Like at first it was Lego sets or Transformers or something like that. But then I'd trade it and then I'd want my Transformers back. And so we'd do the trade over again. And eventually I don't think I ended up on the best end of the deal. And I never got the Spider-Man thing anyway. And so, but anyway, so I guess I didn't really talk about the summary of the episode. I'll do that real quick. So Olivia wants her siblings rooms, and so she keeps sort of envying what they've got, and rather than trying to take them, she tries to be diplomatic about it. And so she'll say like, "Hey, I'll give you this," and so her siblings are taking advantage of this and getting
it's
as
not
much
diplomatic. It's entrepreneurial. You should know about that.
Entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I like that word. Guess why?
Which I didn't like in the episode. She said she tried to bribe them. That's not a bribe. That's a mutual trade.
Exactly.
Capitalism.
It's the free market.
Yeah.
Guys. It's not bribery.
Free market, bro. Yeah. And so basically, like the entire album is, why do I keep saying album? The entire episode is them moving rooms back and forth. Meanwhile, the parents are actually out trying to buy a new lawnmower because that's a subplot.
Right. Yeah. So they're trying to like.
They're gonna because somebody else's baby is more important or something. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's so the whole episode they're moving their furniture from upstairs to downstairs because she wants that room, and then she's like, well, actually I don't like this room because it stinks, and then moving it to the sister's room, and she's like paying them and promising that she'll do their chores and giving them stuff to take apart and stuff. What
I thought it was funny that Matthew wanted to take. It's like throw in your crimper and an extra
yeah, to take it apart, which is a little bit of a bad message to kids, right? Like kids shouldn't be taking apart electronics.
But Matthew,
yeah, but Matthew can. The interesting thing is that what bad parents they must be to give their young daughter a room with a large bay window and not give her any curtains. Like, no wonder she wants to get out of there. That's horrible. She can't change.
Dangerous.
I can't ever get any sleep.
I can't change without the neighbors seeing me.
They were afraid of their daughter changing, and they wanted her to stay who she was.
Never change.
Such restricted
Insane.
parents.
So I didn't like that. I thought that was inappropriate of them. And so I don't think she was being unreasonable at all.
Or maybe they were going to
Please, I
give
just need outta here.
the child. Maybe they were going to give her curtains, but then the grandma was like, "Oh no, I take care of it," and so
And then it took
the
forever.
grandma procrastinated for so long.
Right.
This
Too
is
busy
my
on
least-
Twitter or whatever.
This is my second to least favorite episode because, for one, kind of the message of it is like, don't worry, everything is fine. They're like, look, we are the parents, and we figured out that we have all these special reasons why we gave each one of you the rooms that you have. And so the lesson is we have everything figured out. But like, they didn't know that. They didn't know that their parents had these reasons why, like very specific reasons why they gave them the rooms. Why didn't the parents tell them that to begin with?
It's just a metaphor, Kevin. Don't think about it in terms of the family. It's a metaphor for life, and how God always has us in the perfect place where He wants us to be,
parents
and we should
always have
never
everything
ever
figured out.
try to change that.
Right, and we should never like buy something new.
No.
I just felt like it was like I got kind of the deep down messages like, hey, oh yeah, I know my snarky remark for this episode. I think we should have been content with all the other episodes that are about contentment. We didn't need any more.
The writers should have taken a dose of their own medicine and been...
Yeah. They didn't need to make more. You should have been happy because I'm sure there's plenty of them, and this one was pretty weak sauce. That's all I have to say.
I would agree, but I don't think that the reason it's weak is necessarily because the concept of the episode is so bad. I don't mind the message. I think it's all right to consider the fact that, okay, especially in America, we generally have enough to get by, and there are people that are more in need, and sometimes it's worthwhile to think of those people and or just to realize how good it is that we have. So I think that's a decent concept for an episode. And like you were saying, Ryan, I think that it's kind of funny, you know, they're switching all their bedrooms around. I just don't like the Parkers. I don't really find any of them very engaging characters. I kind of want to like the parents, but they're just so cookie cutter. Not cookie cutter as in like they're relatable, like that's the average person. It looks like a real person. They seem like a focus on the family, not a real family.
Yeah.
So
and
I imagine them.
think that they're one of the funniest. Like, I think that the dad, every time he says a line, I'm laughing a little bit inside.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
He's all right, but like I don't feel like any of the characters have really gone anywhere since they came on the show. They've just been that static family. Whereas the Barclays, every other family that we've had on the show, or at least the ones I'm thinking of, like we had the Strasburgs, we had the Barclays, we had the Washingtons, we even have the Meltzmers now, and they've all gone through things as a family and had arcs, had challenges to face and to work through. But the Parkers have just kind of been there, and all of their characters have been static. And by that I mean they haven't changed. They haven't developed. They've just been themselves and continued to be themselves. And I don't really feel like that's interesting. But even if they were, I would still think they're dumb because I think that they're dumb characters.
Well,
someone commented and said that they missed the Washingtons. The Washingtons, and apparently the Washington son is in in an episode, not in this one, but on the Odyssey club. Yeah. He came back and
interesting,
because I just finished editing an interview with him that's coming out this Wednesday, I think.
What? Nice.
Yeah. Kendra,
Larry, Mary, Carrie,
Barry.
That's it.
Yep. Barry. Lamar.
Jerry, Harry, Larry, Gary, Terry, Your Honor.
Yep. Anyway, I just saw that comment and was like, hey, yeah, well, actually, what was his name? The character? I know it was Washington. I can't remember his...
Oh, Ed? Or no, Marvin?
Marvin. Anyway, I thought that the episode... I agree that we should care about other people, and it was really nice of them to do that, to buy that person something that they needed. But like I just don't agree with like making people feel bad if they don't. Like helping other people out is a gift that you give people. It's not an obligation. You don't have to do that, but it's wonderful if you do.
Well,
And
I think they made it like the conversations with Red, and we can talk about Red in a second. But I don't think they made it sound like getting something new was bad. And Ava, I forget how to say her name, was like, yeah, you can do this. We have the money for it. You can go for it. But David felt like, okay, this would be a better use of my money.
But yet he's going to be repairing his lawnmower. Like, is that a better use long term? Is it going to cost more? Like, it was just an opportunity to present some financial planning tips.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's irresponsible if you don't make like investments aren't bad. That's all I'm saying. It's sometimes like bad investments are bad. Good investments though, if you're like, well, actually long term, even the Bible, if you can believe it, says that thing about like let those who work so they can give more freely to those in need. And I think if you can give more freely if like in an airplane where you put your mask on first and then help those in need. I think there is something to be said about like helping yourself financially to get in a position where you can then have access to help other people.
I feel like you doing that political podcast has really opened the floodgates.
I just see everywhere I go.
Every podcast is an opportunity for political comments.
It's not political. It's just economics, like personal financial.
It's economics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personal financial planning. I just think that I'm not saying it's bad, but I think it's a confusing message to say like
what they should have done is if they had the money anyways, they should have bought the table saw for the family and got the lawnmower because we're wealthy people here in America.
Yeah, just buy everything and just put it on a credit card.
You know, and
that's
I think
what they should have done.
That Olivia should have just taken all the rooms. Why settle for one?
Exactly. Well, if they were willing to sell them, sure.
Okay, can we talk about Red for a second?
No.
Yes.
No, he doesn't deserve it.
Is red the color of emotion you're feeling?
What do you think of Red, Ryan?
I think that he's like that art gallery guy in that he's the character that's there to be a stereotype and nothing else.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
that's
there to try
so
to
that Odyssey doesn't seem too American-y.
Yet his
doesn't seem too white.
Is the Southern white American? Doesn't do too much for diversity.
We got to be diverse in many ways, whether it's American or otherwise.
Specifically American, diverse Americans.
Well, they've got the Parker. That's why they keep the Parker family around, I guess.
Right. So they have white people.
No, the grandmother's from, I don't know if she's from Mexico, but she's from South America. Yeah.
And I was going to say, I feel like Felicity is the only interesting character in their family. She's had a bit more of a backstory and a little more spunky.
Yep.
Like you were saying, yeah, Ryan, Red is he's just a character. He doesn't have
Ryan. Yum.
Red was a replacement for Bernard, right? But Bernard was an interesting character because he actually had struggles and actually did things and developed as a charger, and he was a man. He was real. He was
and he was funny. He was funny. I loved Bernard because he had his phrases, his quirks, but they all made sense.
Red is just a Southern guy who says Bernard's lines.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even say Bernard's lines. All his sayings don't make any sense.
Well,
but Bernard's
some of the ones in this episode were a little bit more. They were a little bit more well thought out. But it's just there's nothing for them. It's like a greased pole without the pole. You just get grease, right?
What?
Well, that is where it was filmed. Was in Odyssey. That's where Grease was filmed, right?
Oh, that's right. So great. Well, then I guess we. What?
So
I hated this.
I can't remember if we made that joke before or after we
wanna
started
bring that up
recording.
because Audio Theater
Like,
Central is another podcast that talks about. Sorry, that is my mic back? Okay, they're a podcast that talk about all the different audio dramas, including Odyssey, and they heard that I disliked Red, and they were all like, "No, Red is the best character ever. Come on, Odyssey." And so I just want to make sure
Wow,
that
what a bunch of whiners.
in unison, we can call them a bunch of whiners and and say that their opinion is objectively wrong. That Red is a bad character.
Well, it's subjectively wrong. I think like we're all entitled to our opinions, and at the same time, none of them are right.
We can assume that they're being objective, right? That's democracy.
If we all decide that they're objective, then we win because we're the majority. That's democracy, yeah.
But we live in a constitutional republic, so even the minorities get a voice.
Hey, I bring that up in my upcoming Batman vs Superman episode. It's going to be pretty good.
Wow.
Because they're basically like, if we live in a democracy, they're like trying to decide if Superman is evil. So she's implying that if we all just decide Superman's evil, then I guess he is. It's like, wait, what? So I give this, I didn't, there's nothing about this episode. The only thing that I tried to like this episode. The only thing that I kind of liked was like, okay, yeah, these kids, this is a natural thing. I remember I probably would have done this type of thing as a kid, maybe, where I tried to switch rooms with my sister or something. But like, it felt very kiddie, and I know it's a kid's show, but like, I didn't think the message was very great, and I was a little disappointed, and I was more disappointed because I think Kathy Buchanan wrote this episode, and I normally just love her. I think she's great.
Yeah, sorry, Kathy.
I love her so much.
You missed it on this one. Is her name still Buchanan? I thought it was Kathy. Or no, it used to be Kathy Waringa. Now it's Buchanan. Got it.
So
anyway,
that's my answer.
That's your 2 cents, 4 cents.
Three moving mattresses out of 100. No, out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump right on one of those mattresses and just and right along with your rating. I'm gonna bump it up one. I'll say it's four mattresses out of 10.
Well, this episode mattress a little bit more to me, so I'm gonna give it a 6.
Good one. Good.
The mattress.
It mattress.
It mattress a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good one, Ryan.
That was solid. That was a solid pun.
That was
all right.
They all
last
are.
one then.
Came out of my mouth.
See, we're losing. We've lost like half our viewers now that we've gone over
we're losing
over an hour. People are leaving. They don't want to. They're like, I thought this was going to be an hour long, and now here we are.
Here we are, entering into hours.
It's really just because it's 8:00 Eastern time, so the kiddies got to get to bed.
All right, so our final episode to talk about is Legacy. I
don't know if you're legible there.
But this episode,
some people have said, Garrett, that your audio is a little low. Is there any way you can bring it up, Garrett?
There is a way. I can try and let me do this. I'm gonna try and bring it up.
How? Okay, we're working on it, everybody.
Is that louder? Is that too loud?
No, that's perfect. I love it so much.
I love you too so much, Kevin. You're wonderful.
Well, this is a two-parter. It's really 2 episodes. Because the first one is not actually
a 2-parter.
The first one's actually an episode, and the second one's just a worshiping of the Solaris sisters.
Yeah.
Whatever their band's name is, which is great.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with them
for singing, and nothing wrong with women and singing and voices.
Nothing wrong with women.
Women are valuable and equal.
They are equal, and they contribute to society.
And episodes, it's just that the episodes they contribute to end up being worse. Sorry, women.
The likelihood, to be honest, the likelihood of what's the actress who plays Penny, or not Penny,
Shauna-
the girl?
Shauna?
Shona.
The likelihood of anybody seeing this, I think she's the most likely to watch this. So.
Shona, we like your voice. We think you're a great singer. It's just it wasn't your fault. You didn't write the episode.
Well, so if we're talking about the second part 2, it just was a
Let's jump to that. Let's start on part 1 though. We got to do this chronologically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
So the main, my snarky, but also very because up to this point, a lot of my comments that I made concerning episodes, if I had a problem with something, then it's like slightly in jest because it's like, well, like this was kind of distracting, but it's not a huge deal. It's like it's gonna affect my rating, but it's not gonna make me not ever listen to the episode again. It's something that I can live with. But I have more of a beef with this episode because this episode, I felt like it was going to be a tribute to Tom Riley, not Tom Riley, but like the person that played him. And unfortunately, I wanted to feel sad this episode. Like I went into it and I was like, oh, so this is the episode where they actually kind of mention the fact that was exciting. Tom Riley's not with us anymore. And so I was like, okay, get ready. Like, I want to cry over this episode because I miss Tom. But then they came in with this weird Edwin Blackard ripoff, and it totally ruins everything because this episode is no longer about Tom. It's just setting up the next episode, which I did not like at all. Like, this is my least favorite. I'm trying to figure out which of the 2 parts is my least favorite. Probably this one, just because they ruined that.
Yeah, it definitely was the Iron Man 3 of this album. It was just all of it was to set up but there's all those added scenes just to set up for the next movie, the Avengers, or whatever. Yeah, it's like, well, let's just do the story. Yeah, whenever they got the letters. And so basically what happens in this episode is that they get these letters. It turns out
they being Connie and Eugene.
Yeah. Tom Riley has left them. That's who it is, right? Tom Riley has left them an inheritance. And the part when Eugene's like, I didn't know that he even cared about me or liked me even.
Mm-hmm.
And that part, I was like getting ready to like get teared up, just like what you're talking about, Ryan. I guess I'm giving a synopsis. Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah, you're synopsize.
And then they go to the farm, but then also meanwhile at the farm, out in the woods,
Meanwhile at the ranch,
June and Book are out there. And they're exploring and going on an adventure together as best friends, and then they're like about to fall in love with each other, and then they hear music, and that was a pretty cheesy part.
Goes to crap.
And then there's a guy out in the woods with 2 women. I can never tell sometimes how many people are there. So 2 women, and they're singing this song. But then it turns out June can also sing, and the women are played by
Jules.
Aren't the women her sister? Shauna's sisters or something?
It's her mom and her sister
and her mom.
Oh,
and they actually have a band singing group together. So that's why. That's why this happened. I imagine. I have no inside knowledge of this. I
think this episode suffers from the same syndrome that many of the Odyssey or Adventures in Odyssey Club episodes do, whereas they're trying more to promote a ministry or a particular idea or a people than they are tell a good story. Even though maybe that is their goal, they want to tell a good story. They didn't. This really just feels like a plug for the sorority girl sisters, the Soro sisters.
The sorority girl sisters. Yeah. Well, and to be fair, Odyssey has a long history of attempting to utilize all the talents of their actors. Yeah. And if they've got actors who can sing, they try to utilize that. If they've got actors who can do an Elvis voice, They'll use that in the
Tell it,
episode.
they'll beat that horse until it's nothing but
They'll
guts.
do it if they got somebody who could do a pretty bad interpretation of a Bill Cosby voice. They will have Jess Arnell do that in every goofy episode that they make. I'm a Jello pudding. They'll do it, and
yes, they will.
that's
It's
so
cool.
It's cool. So I don't feel like this was so much like, hey, everybody, go check out our new album. And it must have been a lot of work to put together that part 2 episode.
Mhm.
And that part 2 episode on its own
at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, I was impressed by that it actually sounded more like a pop song as opposed to there was an
Yeah.
episode a couple of albums back where Olivia's favorite artist comes to town and she starts singing a song and it does not sound like a song at all.
Yeah, I mean it did sound a little bit like it sounded a little dated, like an older actual pop song, but
Like the Chainsmokers did in 2010 or something.
yeah. Or like the Chainsmokers recently, whenever they sang with Florida Georgia Line recently.
I didn't know they did that.
I
That's
know-
hilarious.
I know that because I I work with Rare Country and found that out. Anyway,
Oh, that's
it's not important. It's just funny that the two like worst bands did a performance together. Anyway.
Oh my. What are we talking about?
So something about this story, if it is that.
Yeah, it started. See, I was gonna say, so part 2 is just is them all hanging out together and doing this little performance. So the episode 1 is it starts out really strong, and we'll come back to that, but then it just goes into this theater thing. So
I have a
episode 2
cat,
is just
by the
them-
way.
Hi, Cat.
I can't. So episode 2 is just them doing a show to prove
Putting
that,
on a
okay,
show.
Let's put on a show. It's the name of the
That's
album.
the name of the album.
Whoa! Oh wow! Oh, so they put on a show, and the show itself is kind of fun. Like it reminds me of like some kids' radio episodes. The thing that I hate so much about it is not the episode itself. Like I think it's kind of a funny storyline, but the thing I hate about it is it's just that it's thrown in. It doesn't have anything to do with. It doesn't even have anything to do with the story outside of it. Like how does the parable of the sending the spirit out and then 7 worse spirits come back, how does that have anything to do with the rest of it?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So
Yeah.
yeah, at the end, because they're like, I just don't know why my kids aren't going to church. Like the two,
Yeah.
which so it's kind of like end capping the album because it starts off with them worried about the kids, but they're genuinely worried about them doing bad things.
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't. This happened twice because in the episode where they were, where she's on the bus, Connie's complaining about her being selfish or whatever, and the
Mhm.
pastor's like, "I'm guessing she's not a Christian then."
Mm.
What? Like why? Like why would you assume that she could be a Christian and being a little jerk?
Well, but we've
That
got to
happened.
realize though this is an old white conservative pastor.
Group pastor.
He
So,
doesn't know
so
any
in
better.
this, at the end, he's like, they're at the beginning, they're like, I just can't believe that they don't want to go to church. And then at the end, they're like, well, Buck, you could do a lot more of this if you went to church because they've got an acting group there. Like
Yeah.
that's some sort of victory. Like, oh, good. Finally,
Oh, we
Buck's
can
gonna
finally
be
get
in
into
church.
church.
They're doing cool stuff at church, and it's almost like this justification for having that cool hip. Buck, they got rap music there. You like rap music?
You're
They
not
got
making
some of
rap
that?
music better. You're not making Christianity better. You're making rap music worse.
Like you should go to church because we've got this new church, and this one's cooler. Like it's not like the traditional church. This is the non-traditional church. And so
Yeah, I
you
thought
should
that
go
was a
there.
weird
Why not that?
ending. I
Yeah,
didn't like
It
that.
felt very slapped on.
It was very forced, and like even at first, I didn't like. Well, actually, the entire episode, I didn't realize that it was a parody of that story from the Bible, and like it doesn't even like have
Well,
anything to do
when they do
with
those kinds of
the
episodes,
characters.
they have the parable or whatever somehow relate to the outside arc of the story.
Like
But
if
in
it
this
was
case,
the
was just like,
prodigal
oh,
son or something, that would
Yeah.
make sense. Like,
I didn't
hey,
realize
hey
that was
Jules,
from
hey
the
Buck, no
Bible.
matter what you've done, this is like God's still waiting for you. That would make sense. Something like that.
God still
but
loves you.
yeah.
But they already told that story.
they told it like 6 times.
But no, they used that as an analogy in the bus ride episode.
Oh, true.
That
Yeah,
like,
so we can't do any more prodigal son
unconditional love
episodes.
and stuff. So like, well, we can't. But yeah, you're right. Like, I just don't like that. Like, oh, good, we got Buck in church. A lot of the like interaction with Christians is a little. It's not like it used to be. And I always think about when Connie became a Christian and when Eugene became a Christian, and how like, yeah, Connie, like, it took longer for Eugene, and I like that because it was like Eugene is an intelligent person, so he's not just gonna believe whatever everybody comes along and says, and so it showed like a skeptic, and
Yeah.
also with Connie, even though she became a Christian much earlier, like, you still saw Mr. Whitaker treating her the same. Like, he didn't treat her any differently either way. And that was kind of the point, was like, Connie almost felt like Mr. Whitaker was going to treat her differently because she's not a Christian, and he didn't. And he's like, no, I'm not going to, I still care about you.
And what's more, the characters came to Christ because of like morals and stuff. Like, they'd spend their time in Odyssey, and the people around them would just encourage them, and like through all the lessons they learned good morals. And like with Connie, she goes back to California and she's talking to all the people on the bus, and like seeing how the morals are, like, she's so different because of her time in Odyssey. Like, something in Odyssey is different that I like, that I've accepted. And
I would enjoy if
the
they
world
did
is
kind of
different
throwback to that
in a way
episode
that I
they did
don't
that with
like.
Jules.
And
What?
because of that, it led her to realize, like, oh, there's something to this Christianity thing. And then it was sort of similar with Eugene. It just took longer.
Right.
And
I mean, he did go to hell that one time.
I
True.
think there's still the potential for these arcs with Jules and Buck to work. Like, I feel like so far a lot of their interactions, and even at the beginning of this episode, the way they were talking about faith felt pretty real, pretty raw. I was like, okay, these both of these kids really don't get it, and they don't really like the way that everyone's treating them differently, and that everyone's a Christian and they're not, and they're just like, what is all this big deal? I felt like the opening of this two-parter, which doesn't really feel like one, it felt like it was gonna go somewhere. I felt like it opened really strong. Like that line you're talking about with Eugene and Tom, I thought, like, wow, this is gonna be heart-wrenching. We're gonna explore the dynamic between Eugene and Tom.
It'll be like the last album where we had a lot of like heart-wrenching stuff.
Right, like we could have a bunch of, like, we could have the unrequited fatherly love of to Eugene and different things like that. And we could jump back, and I thought that was going to be a really awesome.
And how to deal with like finding out, which they could have dealt with also, like finding out after someone dies that they did care about you.
Yeah, and how, like, that you can't thank them and you can't go back and change anything. Coming to terms with that, like, there was so much good story fodder for this episode, and it was all just thrown away so they could do this singing episode. And like I was saying, with Jules and Buck, I thought this was going to be a really interesting episode about them struggling with the idea of everyone else's faith and feeling like outsiders.
Yeah. But also realizing that maybe we're not such outsiders or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I think that you're right. I don't think that these are going to be like really 4 story arcs. And I know that like him going to church isn't like, all right, we did it, he's in now. And they're not going to play it off that way in the future. I just don't like musicals also. So I was like, I'm not really into this dancing and singing, and
except it's just singing because you can't actually see any of the dancing.
No, I think there was dancing. I mean, there was dancing on my end. I was dancing around my room. That's what I meant. And I was like, I'm not into this. So.
Usually when I'm dancing, I feel something, but this is it. It feels forced.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, this would be part 2 is my least favorite. I agree. I think that part 1 felt like it was gonna go somewhere, and they kind of like they lost it because there was opportunity to have some like really solid conversations in the woods, and even for the Eugene and Connie to get some helpful advice about not kind of pushing their faith on people. Because even whenever it was a good moment, whenever Eugene's talking to Buck and talking about church, and he's like, I'm not going to force you to go to church. I'd love for you to go. But that's good. That's good. Like, because Buck's like, I'll do it if you want me to, because Buck has a history of like just doing things to make Eugene happy. Yeah. And because that's where he comes from. So like, and that's what kind of got him in trouble to begin with. So for Eugene to like be aware of that and say, no, I'm not going to force you to believe what I believe. I think that's a good lesson.
I think it would be even interesting if they would develop that and have even maybe Katrina really encouraging him to want to do this, and so he starts going, and she really feels like he's making progress, but he isn't, and they have to come to terms with that he has to make this decision on his own.
Yeah,
that
would be solid.
Garrett, you should write for Adventures in Odyssey.
You know, I'm planning on it. If they'll use me, I'll write for them.
Yep. So I give this. I'm just gonna rate the whole thing, because 1 would probably be rated higher than 2.
Average amount.
But it just.
Well,
I'm
real
gonna
quick before you
average
do, I feel like
-3
assertive with our thoughts, but I don't know that Ryan's always had a chance to finish saying what he's thinking. Do you have any more thoughts about this episode, Ryan?
Like maybe a few. So most of what I feel has been said. I do feel, like with Buck and Jules, I feel like there's a more real way to kind of bring them to Christ rather than like, oh, here's a play and it has something to do with the Bible. Maybe there's something more to this. If you liked the play, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even especially because it wasn't really that good of a play. But I think that whenever this definitely felt like a filler episode, like not where this is going to be the crux of where things change. It feels like it's building towards something else. And I think that if they were still doing 12 episode albums and we were able to see more of a climax at the end where it makes more sense than say this was in the middle of an album, I wouldn't be quite as upset, even though I'm still like really, really upset about that Tom Riley thing.
Yeah.
If it were in the middle of the album, then it wouldn't make as much of it wouldn't be as big of a deal because this is the end of an era. But I've got to wait until album 63 comes out to even understand like if this is going to go anywhere. And for all I know, next album's going to be all about Penny and Wooten. So
right. And actually, I think it is.
Yeah, I know. So that's one thing, is that because they do smaller albums, it's harder to tell full stories. And unfortunately, that is going to hurt their ability to get good story arcs to be more consistent and filled.
Though, I mean, what you said though, is as far as this being a transitional episode to kind of get some gears moving, even though this album is not my favorite by any measure, any means, any way you want to say it, I am more excited about the direction of the show and what's going to happen with these arcs than I have been in, I don't know, probably since the reboot. Like it looks like there's a lot of interesting storylines to be unraveled, but we just didn't get to see too much unravel in this album. I mean, we got like 3 new characters, and a lot of them like have to do with Whit's past. We have Whit's sister, Charlie, which that was mentioned in No Friend, like an old friend, and then also his childhood friend Willie. Both of those look like they could be interesting. We have Tom's stepsister. Is that who she was? Yeah. Anyway, we got her now. So we learned
something like that. Or wait, wasn't it actually his sister?
I don't know. She's somehow related. But anyway, so we still can learn more about Tom and the past of Odyssey in that sense, and her relationship with him. So that could be interesting. We've got some, Buck and Jules. What's going to happen? Well, obviously, they're going to fall in love, and that'll be, who knows if that'll be good.
But you know what would be better instead of them, because you said something about them coming, like that they're definitely gonna become Christians, but what if like they don't and one of them dies? That'd be a
Or
story.
better
would
yet,
be
I
great.
think a less
But the other-
drastic measure would be one of them becomes a Christian and then the other doesn't. And you got sort of like a Katrina
And
and
what
Eugene
if the first
sort
one
of thing
rejects
going
their
on?
faith because the other person pulls them back? Ooh.
What if like
You can't, but you can't lose you can't lose once saved, always saved, right?
what if one of them is a Christian and fine with dating, and the other one doesn't want to date because they don't want to date a Christian?
Ooh. That well, that already happened with Eugene and Katrina.
But
Or
I
what
thought
if-
that what happened there was that the Christian didn't want to date the non-Christian.
Oh, okay. It would be the other way around. That would be
Talking to
interesting.
the other way around, where like the Christian's fine with it, but the non-Christian's like, I can't do it, man.
Katrina would have to be like, hey,
That sounds too. It's almost like
a little too meta.
a God's not dead thing. Like, oh, non-Christians are discriminating in dating.
Oh, I think it could happen. I'm not like, oh, don't. Oh, someone commented and was like, courting, not dating, Kevin.
He's courting.
Wow.
Come on.
No, I think that there is a lot here. It almost feels like every time we get some momentum going, the album's done. And because of that, I don't think there should be the filler that there is. I know that there's like it's the traditional Odyssey, whatever,
Right.
but I don't know.
I would have much rather if they dropped Grass is Always Greener and they fleshed this one out a little bit more to make it into an actual story, and also
Yeah.
really edited down the sequence of them doing the play to just be kind of a small part of the story and let there be a story rather than it just be that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also you got to wonder what's going on over there when they've got Nathan Hubler doing so many voices.
I didn't notice that. Who was he playing?
There was one where he was like delivering a package, and then another one, like 2 episodes in a row, Nathan did a voice, but I can't remember. Oh, I think he's the one who delivered the letter to Eugene.
Oh, I didn't even
And
notice
then
that.
in the episode before that, what came before that one?
No.
Grass is Always Greener.
Or yeah, Grass is Always Greener.
At the end, there was Nathan was in there too.
Huh. A little tidbit
Anyway.
for ya.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes of Odyssey, something that we do right here
Little
on the
behind
Odyssey Scoop, in front of the scenes. All right, so album overall, I give it a.
Oh no,
give
we
it,
got
I
okay.
don't know.
Before you do album overall, you got to do your episode, and then Ryan's got to do his, and then we. Can
Oh, I
go
think
on.
I gave it like a 2 out of 10 for the averaged out.
2 what's though? Two.
2 2 singers in 10 quet.
Dequet.
Would that be like a dequet or something?
DeQuet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Wait,
give it.
DeQuet, is that one of the Washingtons? No.
Oh my word, Kevin.
You can't say that because it's a black stereotype.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 grossly underdeveloped plots and forced songs out of 10 of those things.
And guys, this is, I think, a first for me. I don't think I've ever given an album a 1.
Oh, are you doing an album or an episode?
Or not album. Why do I keep saying that? Episode.
And you still
I've
haven't.
never given.
You're doing
I've never
episodes.
given an episode a 1 out of 10, just because I always enjoy Odyssey episodes. There's always something fun to them, and I'm not gonna do it this time either, just because there were some good moments with Tom. Like dealing with Tom, with Eugene and Connie, like those moments were very touching. So I will give it a 2. But Odyssey, you have been warned. You almost crossed a line. Don't
They almost
disappoint me with
went so far they couldn't go back.
What? What'd you say, Kevin?
Oh, they almost went so far they couldn't go back.
Yeah. Yeah, almost, but they were able to have something redeeming. So,
Yeah.
the legacy part 1 gets a 2, and legacy part 2 gets a 1.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a
I'm
1
kidding.
point.
They both get a 2.
Okay. So yeah, album overall, what are you saying, Kevin? What do you think of this album?
I thought it was I actually, even though I don't like that they can develop stories, I'm glad that they're shorter because I can get through them in a rush whenever you guys are like, "Hey, let's review it this Friday." It's much quicker. But no, I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty classic Odyssey. It probably reminded me that I'm listening to a kids show more than ever before, and I don't know if that's just because I'm older than I ever have been before, or if
You're
I'm
always
just
older
like,
than you've ever been before, hopefully.
yeah, but or is it just like this album in particular that felt a little more kiddie?
I don't know. Ryan, you're a kid. What would you say?
Hey, now I'm 20.
You're the most kid-y.
I'm the kid.
Besides
You better be kidding about.
We keep you on the show so that we have some connection to the younger audience.
We're doing it for Ryan.
Gotta be relatable. Oh well, technically Kevin in a way is younger if he does his Ethan voice.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, I'm still the biggest fan of Adventures in Odyssey. Yeah. Okay. So overall, this album was like I was entertained by it. I'll give it a 6.
Did you just call this album an episode now?
Did I? Ah! Why? What? Okay.
You're like my dad and my opa always used to confuse bowls and plates.
I'm technically the oldest because I apparently have some sort of problem with saying things. But yeah, so I give this album a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
6 out of 10.
Oh, I didn't give a rating, did I?
Yeah. What are you gonna do, Kevin? What's your rating?
Oh, yeah, 6 out of 10.
Let's
Probably.
let's enforce our unity here, or let's communicate our unity here, and
Let's communicate our how we're the majority that decides what
this is
what.
objectively a 6 out of 10.
Right. Like Garrett, if you said anything else, it wouldn't matter.
Nothing would matter.
We know that
in this democracy, you would be outgunned.
And therefore, my
Your vote
opinion would be
doesn't mean
subjective,
anything.
and yours would be objective. 'Cause you're
Objective,
the majority.
That's how democracy
Well,
works.
the legacy part 2 taught us that even if you're outgunned, it doesn't matter so long as you can duck.
Yeah, as long as they're all pointed at each other, and yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Oh wait, so that's
that
why
was
the
kinda
media.
It's also weird because this reminds me a little bit of that episode in the last album where Mr. Whitaker went over to that farm, and it was a hillbilly.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess because it was just like a bunch of fake accents and like just hooping and hollering, hooting and hollering, and hooping.
Wootin' and hollering.
Wootin' and hollering. That's the name of the next album, I bet.
Wooten hollered.
Oh, true.
Great.
Gosh. All right, so that's album 62. There it is. Go listen to it, kids. Why don't you listen to it? Send us some mail. Tell us what you think. You can.
What did you think of the Odyssey album? Let us know in the comments below.
Or if you're listening to this in podcast form, you can send us fan mail.
Money.
Yeah, you can send us money. Keep us going. I really don't make a lot of money for editing this show, and nobody else gets paid.
/Ryan Matlock.
If you want to give to the show, just give it to Ryan's Patreon.
Right. No, seriously.
If you can find and
I don't do
figure out how to
anything on the
spell-
show. Do it. Give it to Kevin or Garrett or something.
No, I don't do anything either. I
Give it to
actually
Garrett.
didn't listen to any of these.
All my hard work going to waste. I'm making them just for you, Kevin.
I just read the synopsis on AIO Wiki.
It's really bad how often we reference AIO Wiki because we're technically associated with the Odyssey Scoop, which is sort of their
Are we
competitor.
competitors?
I think they are kind of our competitors. What can
Well,
I say?
do they have a
AIO Wiki.
podcast?
No, they don't. So we could do whatever we want. They don't have a podcast.
We're the official podcast of AIO Wiki. Check us out at www.aiowiki.com.
/Odyssey Scoop.
Email any complaints.
Sponsor us by supporting AIO Wiki
on our AIO Wiki Patreon page to keep this podcast going.
Jake,
The joke here is that we are not associated with AIO Wiki whatsoever. We're actually associated with OdysseyScoop.com.
Yeah. So
which is similar.
If you like the album, if you dislike the album, if you like our review, if you dislike our review, if you think we're all idiots, send us some mail at you can just go on OdysseyScoop.com or OdysseyScoopcast.com, and there should be a contact spot in there anyways. You could say some stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. This has been another episode of the Odyssey Scoopcast. I'll wrap everything up.
Bye. Okay, you'll clean it up.
I'll clean it up.
I recorded it. It worked.
Recorded it? Good job. Great. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
Recording now.
Okay.
Well, guys, that's good. Hey, everybody who's watching, thanks.
Spanks.
Really appreciate it. Some people have stuck around the whole time. Some people said that they just got here.
Just got here. Okay, we'll start it over for them.
We'll start again. Yeah. Several people. Who was it? I think it was Rebecca. Rebecca Martin came on and she's like, "Just got here. Kevin's already talking about politics." Rebecca, you were late. That's the problem. I've been talking about politics
way earlier than that.
But I was pretty good.
I
was good
Kevin.
here.
You did a good job, Kevin. Great job. Also,
And,
there's tons of people requesting Donkey Ali 4.
Can you just like do that full time? Because those videos are the best.
Honestly,
Just
get
do
rid of
Donkey.
the rest of your channel and just do Donkey Ali.
Also, Kelsey J, she's been watching a good bit of the time, and she has a great channel where she sings. She's an excellent singer and plays guitar.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, Garrett will judge you on this.
I'm gonna go judge you, Kelsey.
So
No, she does a great job. So please check out her channel and check out Ryan's channel.
Well, actually, my
And-
channel's kind of inactive right now, but
Oh, so
if
well,
you-
then
if
don't
you
check
want-
it out. Unsubscribe from Ryan and
Stop
subscribe
supporting
to
him on
Kelsey.
Patreon. He's not productive. Put your
no,
money
I am
and support.
I am productive. It's just on my podcast now.
At the moment.
The aux cable.
The aux cable at auxcableshow.com.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, and you
the
can check out
aux.
my website too. Ryan gets a plug. I got a plug too, right, Kevin?
Sure. Yeah.
Can I plug? Okay. So if you like the Odyssey Scoopcast or just about any of the podcasts that Kevin or Josh do and you like the way they sound, it's probably just because you like the music and the podcast itself is garbage. If that's the case, it's all me, really. It's all me in there. So you should come hire
except
me.
for
Who would build the roads?
except
Yeah.
for who would build the roads.
Yeah. And that is a great
But
theme song. Who's that? Is that Caleb somebody? Who made that?
I think I'm. Now that you mention it, I just realized that I haven't even announced on that show who does it, and I think that it is who's the inner circle member who does music? Gabe Miller.
Oh, Gabe. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, great job.
Yeah.
Gabe.
Sorry, Gabe.
Sick.
But yes.
All the other theme songs, though, on Blimey Cow podcasts and Kevin podcasts, and even both of their theme songs and background music.
The Kevin
all stuff-
podcast. That's a good one.
Ooh, wait, that's a show?
No, it should be though. I should do like a Patreon podcast or something.
You should just do a podcast called the Kevin Podcast, where you're not limited to talk. I mean, you're just going to talk about politics anyway, so might as well just be Go Build the Roads.
I kind of figure Josh and I realize that the inner tube is just the Kevin and Josh show. Like, so I don't know. I don't know what I'd talk about on my own. Like I realized, and people keep listening, so
It's good. I mean,
just
you
made it that.
You just call it the Kevin and Josh show, and that way people get what they're paying for. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
that's
let
the
me
thing,
finish
a
my
lot, too.
plug. Go check out
yeah.
GarrettVandenberg.com if you want to hire me to make music for you or license my music, because I write lots of other kinds of music too. And or I can, if you live close by, you can even hire me to come perform for you in your house.
Just birthday parties.
Yeah.
No, but he's right. Check out his stuff if you're looking for like custom made music, or anything related to music. Check him out. Don't look for him to have the volume of his microphone up loud enough. But other than that, really great.
Not a service I can guarantee providing, but
Garrett T.
Ryan, you missed that one.
You missed it.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I've been
okay.
typing with the people in the chat.
Yeah, I've been reading that too. Actually, nobody's been listening.
Because we're getting boring.
Well, this is fun. I'm so glad that we got to do this live stream. And we did it live too.
We did it live.
And hope you guys have a good day.
Hope you do too. Are you talking to me or talking to those guys?
Everyone, anyone who's willing to listen.
He doesn't
That's who I'm
discriminate.
talking to. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna
even Dakish or whoever that.
Dakish, Washington.
Takesha. Marquesh.
So I'm gonna push stop
Okay.
broadcasting.
Bye, all.
See
I don't
ya.
know how to end these. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much. Peace. There we go.